Hey, it's Ashley, and I wanted to do a review of Parasite. I watched it last week and I got some notes, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on what I experienced watching the movie, or just like my comments and opinion and my opinion about it. Um, so, and I watched it oh my gosh, last week after hearing so much about it. Um, I seen reviews about it, and then it started showing up on my Instagram feed, and I watch a lot of like Asian TV shows besides just regular American or Western TV shows. So every once in a while I'll watch a movie, and I usually enjoy those too. So when I kept seeing the previews for this, I was like, I gotta check it out. There were like some of the cast are in dramas that I've seen, or movies. So I was like, okay, there's a good cast too, and it's getting a lot of recognition over here. So maybe I should check it out. So the name of the movie, of course, is Parasite, and the name is perfect for the plot of the movie because it's about two different families. There's the Kims, who are a poor family that basically live in a basement apartment, and then the Parks, who are a rich family that, with the storyline, the Kims end up working for. So, as far as the Kims, there's like four people in the family, and I have everybody's names written down because let's just say they're horrible with uh, remembering foreign names. Well, I'm bad enough with American names um, and pronunciation, so I like wrote them down. So I apologize for butchering anything. So there's the dad, and he's played by Chow Wook-shik, and he's Kim Ki-woo. There's the son, who is played by Kang Ho-song, and he plays Kim K Taik. Take. Well, sorry, I got that mixed up. The first one, Chow Woo-shik, is actually the son, Kim Woo, and then, or Ki Woo, Kai Woo, and then the dad is played by Kang Ho Song, and he's Kai Taik. The daughter is played by Park Soo-dam, plays Ki Jung, and I was familiar with her because I actually just got done watching Cinderella and the Four Knights, and she was the female lead in that, and she did really good. And then the mom is played by Jang Hae-jin, and she plays Chung Suk. So that's the Kim family. And then as far as the rich family, the Parks, there's um, Chow Yu Song, who's the mom, um, and that's her name is Yeon Kyo. There's the dad, who's played by Lee Song Jun, and he plays Park Dong Ik. And I'm familiar with him because he played in My Mister, which I really enjoyed, and he played in something else I can't think of right offhand. There's the daughter, played by Jeong Ji Soo, and she plays Park Dae Hee. And there's the younger son. He's played by Jung Hyun Jun, and he's Park Dae Song. And then there's the housekeeper that works for the Parks, and her name's Lee Jung Un. She plays Guk Moon Gwang, and she's played in a lot of things that I've seen, and I really like her. She played the uh, mom in Oh my gosh, I just got done watching it. I can't think of it offhand. Oh my gosh. I'll insert it in here. She also played in Oh My Ghostess. She was the priestess. And I feel like oh, Where the Camilla Blooms. That's where she played the mom in. And then Park Myung-hoon, he plays her husband, uh, Gyeon-se, and he is in the drama that I'm watching right now that's ongoing, Crash Landing on You, and he also played in another Hae-young, and he was a piece of shit in that, but I really, like, I like him as an actor. I just hated his character in that. So anyways, the movie starts out with the family and they're like in the basement. Like they live in a basement and they do like temporary jobs, and one of the temporary jobs is that they are folding pizza boxes for a local pizza place, and depending on how good the boxes are, they get like so much compensation for the work. And while they're doing this, this was like fucked up to me. Like while they're doing this, their part of town is getting fumigated, and they're like, "Oh man, keep the windows open." I'm like, "You know, you guys could die, right?" And they keep the doors open while they're doing these boxes. So I'm like, "So you gonna let these pesticides get on these boxes that you're gonna give to this company? Okay, you're gonna give back to this company for them to give to people to put food on for them to eat. Okay, that's fine. You do that. You're desperate, and you want to get your place fumigated for free." And then also you get how a sense of how poor they are because the kids are running around the apartment trying to find a Wi-Fi signal because they can't afford internet, and they finally find it like in the smallest, tiniest area of their bathroom, and the mom's like, "Hurry, if you get a signal, hurry up and check it. I'm waiting to hear back from a job." It was a pizza place. Um, So after that happens, they get the boxes done, try to do them as fast as possible. They go to take them to the place, and the woman's like, um, these, you didn't fold these boxes very well. She's like, one out of four is good. The rest of them are terrible. I can't give you as much as I said I would because your quality of work sucks. So they're like trying to argue with her, and the son is like, you get a sense of how they get their jobs because the son is looking at the other pizza delivery person that are coming to pick up the boxes from them, and he's like, "Hey," I was like, you guys know you need another employee. You know that guy over there sucks, right? You know I could do a better job than him." And I'm like, I mean, I know you're desperate, bro, but you're gonna have somebody else lose their job or try and make somebody else look bad so you could take their job. I was like, everybody's struggling out here. Calm down, bro. And I'm like, shady. And and then they go back home after they get their money and they're just sitting around talking. And Kiwoo, the son, he his friend shows up, and it's played by my boo, which was another, like, he was another person that I was like, oh, he's in this, but he's actually, it's just like a guest role, or and it's Park Seo Joon, and he plays in What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, Fight My Way. Uh, what else did I see him in? There's a lot, but he's in a drama that just released on Netflix called Itaewon. Itaewon School. I think that's what it's called. Anywho, he comes by their house and he's like, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm going abroad for school." He's like, "I just want to drop this present off to you guys for helping me out all this time and like being my friend, basically." So he goes, he drops this rock off to them, and it's called a scholar's rock, and it's supposed to give you wealth. It's supposed to bring wealth to you, and seeing their living conditions and how everything's going, you're like, yeah, they need that. Good looking out, bro. So he's like, "Hey, come out, come talk with me," to the son, Kim Woo. or Kiwu, and they go to like a little local place and they're sitting outside talking, and he's talking to him. He's like, hey, I got an opportunity for you. And he's like, what is it? Is it something I can actually do? And he's like, I tutor this rich family and they need a replacement because I'm leaving. And he's like, bro, I don't think I could do that. He's like, come on, man. We had to do English to even get into college. You have to have English. Like, you have to be so good at English, like, for you to even take the entrance exam for college. So he's like, it's easy. He's like, she's not even in college. She's in high school right now. She just needs a tutor. And this girl must be like, well, she kind of does. She's kind of like a, I wouldn't call her a black widow, but I wouldn't call her a black widow. She's like a seductress. She's like a high school seductress, because before his friend leaves, he's like, when she's old enough, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tell her that I like her. And he's like, whatever. And he's like, no, he's like, his friends, and he's like, can I really do this job? Like, you think I could get away with it? He's like, I didn't even finish school. I didn't even get into school because our family can't afford it. His sister used to go to school. She couldn't afford it. So they're just working to try and get by. He's like, he's like, your sister was in art school, right? Just have her forge a fake certificate and use that. And he's like, the woman, he's like, the wife, he's like, she's cute, like she's a pretty woman, but she's stupid. Like, she'll fall for it. You just got to sound like you know what you're talking about, and you're fine. He's like, I know you need the money, so do it. So he gives him the recommendation, and he goes to interview with the mom, Yonkyo, and she's impressed with him. He does a really good job. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm in there, got it. And she's like, while she's there, well, while he's there, he sees the son, and the mom tells him like, yeah, he's like, he's been a little, he was like, something happened to him and he hasn't been right since. We'll get to that later. And he's like, oh, he's like, he likes to do art and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, I know an art therapist. I could arrange for you guys to meet, and you could talk to him and see if it'll be a good fit for him, for Park Dae Sung, for him to work with her. And she's like, oh, really? Thank you so much. Oh, I would love it. So he recommends the art therapist, who's his sister, and she shows up, and she analyzes Park Dae Sung's artwork, and she's like, oh, he has a lot of anxiety, and I think that he might even have tendencies to be a psychopath. And if he works with me, I can get this figured out. He will be back to normal. Remember, the mom's an idiot, so she's like, oh, really? She's like, but I'm not cheap. She's like, it's gonna cost a lot. She's like, oh, it's no problem. It's no problem at all. We can. She's like, we have enough money. Just when can you start? So she starts, and when she's about to leave after her first session with the son, Park Dae Sung, after she's done, she is about to go home and take like the subway, and the dad of the Parks, Park Don Park Donik, his driver is about to leave for work too, and the mom's just like, hey, why don't you just give her a ride home? And she's like, no, no, that's okay, you don't need to. And he's like, no, no, I insist, it's okay. You're a woman, you shouldn't be out late. And she's like, okay, if you insist. So she gets a ride home from him, and while he's like not paying attention, she takes off her underwear and hides them underneath the seat in front of her, because she's in the back seat. And sorry, she hides it in the back seat, underneath the front passenger seat. And she was like, "Hey, you don't have to take me all the way. You can drop me off here. I'll take the subway the rest of the way." And he's like, "Okay, if you insist." Like, "Okay, if you're all right with that, I'll just drop you off here." And he goes home. He goes the next day to pick up the dad, and of course he drops something. And when he goes to pick it up, he feels the underwear underneath the seat, and he like discreetly like looks at them, and he's like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "I'm a good employer to you, and you're gonna fuck women in my car." And so he ends up getting fired. And guess who has a recommendation for a driver? Yep, you're right. The daughter, the art therapist, she has a recommendation of a driver. It's the dad. So he shows up, uh, becomes the driver for Park Dong-geek, and they're like living it up. Everybody's got a good job now, and then while they're trying to basically, this is where I say the thing of parasite shows comes up, because what's the definition of a parasite? I wrote it down. An organism that lives in or on an organism of another species and benefits by deriving nutrients, money, at the other's expense. So far, there haven't been any negative backlash for the Park family by hiring three of the four family members. And then the last hurdle for them to get all the family in there is the housekeeper, so they can get the mom in. So the son finds out that she's allergic to peaches, and they took the shavings, or like the little fuzzies on peaches, and they blow it on her one day, so she's like coughing. And she goes to the hospital, and the dad's mysteriously there, and he takes a picture, and he tells the Park mom, Yongkyo, he's like, "Hey, isn't this your housekeeper? I seen her at the hospital, and I didn't want to overhear, but I heard them saying she has tuberculosis." And he was like, "I don't want to spread rumors, but I just thought with the young kid around that you should know." And her being daft freaks the fuck out. And at first she doesn't believe him, but then they get her again with the peach fuzz. And this time they hit her like right when the dad's coming back from driving the mom to the grocery store. So when she comes in, she's like coughing, and she went to go throw a tissue in the sink or in the trash, and the dad like squirts some ketchup on it. And when she goes to leave the room, he goes through the trash and picks it up and shows the mom, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." He was like, "We got to fire her." So of course she gets fired. And then while he's taking the dad to work, he gives him this business card for this company. I know I hate doing air quotes, but I do it sometimes. Uh, um, he's like, "Oh, I know this company that they have like they hire elite service workers for rich company or rich people." He was like, "I was going to get a job with them before I got hired by you." And he's like, "They also have housekeepers if you're interested in looking for one." And he gives him a business card, and he was like, "Oh, I could use this and make my wife feel good that I'm helping her out, and not make it feel like I think she's incapable, because she feels like her husband thinks she's an idiot." This situation, yeah. And this whole situation, yes, she kind of is, but she can't help it. She's like a naive. And He gives him the card. He eventually calls, and of course, the mother shows up. Chongbuk, Chonsuk. She shows up, and it's great. And so far, like everything's good, everything's going great. And at first, it's overheard once. Oh no, it's not overheard once. The son notices it. The young son, Park Do Song, he sniffed the housekeeper, and he was like, "Same smell, same smell." And he runs over to the chauffeur, the dad, and smells him, and he's like, "Same smell. They have the same smell. They have the same smell as his therapist, their daughter." And nobody really pays attention to him because he's always running around doing whatever. And he's running around doing whatever. So one day the family, they want to go on a camping trip for Park Do Song's birthday. So they leave for the weekend, and you already know the Kims come there and they're living it up, having a good old time, eating, drinking, thinking they got away with their little scam. And it's raining, so somebody rings the doorbell in the middle of the night. They're like, "Who the hell is this? Nobody's supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here. Nobody's supposed to know." And come to find out, it's the old housekeeper. She cut the camera to she cut the camera, like one of the video cameras for the house, so the family doesn't know that she showed up. And she's like, she's like, "I really just need to come in and talk to you guys. I left something there and I need to get it." And after the rest of the family goes to hide, the mom, who's the housekeeper, so she should be there, goes and lets her in. And she goes in through the kitchen, through the pantry, and she like opens a secret door, which you come to find out is like a bunker that the family didn't know about. She used to be the housekeeper for the old family that lived in the house before the Parks moved in. And she's going down in the bunker, and the housekeeper's following her. She's like, "Hey, you can't be here for long." She's like, "You're fired. I don't want to get in trouble for you being here." And come to find out, she's hiding her husband down in the basement in this bunker. Let's stick out my teeth. Down in this bunker. So the Park family doesn't have 4 parasites. They basically had 6. Is my hands ashy? No. So they had 6 because they didn't know. Well, they had 2. They already had a parasite with the housekeeper, the first housekeeper, and then 4 more latched on. And the mom's down there, and she's like, "You is she's like, is that she's like, is that your husband?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I've been hiding him down here since the previous owner, and they never knew. I would just bring him food every, like, once a week. And he had like a whole little house set up down there, bathroom, everything, refrigerator. Uh, and there were like lights. There's like an electrical system for the lights because the lights would flicker, and nobody knew. It was the husband down there doing SOS, hoping that somebody would notice." I'll come back to that. And while she's down there trying to help have her hurry up, because she was like, "I know I can't come back here anymore, but can you please just leave him some food or something every once in a while?" She's like, "He's hiding down here from debtors." And that's why she showed up too, because when she showed up that night, because she was beat up, and it was because they found her and they were asking for their money. And that's why he was hiding, because he was hoping, like, if they didn't find him, that they would leave her alone. That's not the case at all. So while she's like trying to beg her to help her husband, the family that has been like following behind them to see what's going on. The son or the dad, they're like on these, they're each standing on a step, and the dad, who was at the top, slips and knocks everybody down the stairs to um, show the housekeeper and her husband that, hey, they all freaking know each other and they're all in cahoots. And she's like, huh, I knew something was weird about you guys. And while they're all arguing, she pulls out her phone and she's like recording them, saying that they all know each other. They know, saying each other's names and everything. And she's like, I got you guys. She's like, this is how it's really gonna go. parks call the housekeeper and they're like, hey, the mom's like, hey, can you make basically like ramen noodles because that's what the son wants. His birthday party got canceled because it's raining and the area started to flood. So they came home early. Perfect timing. I was not, I was gonna say I wasn't surprised. And I was like, this, the only make this worse is for the fucking family to show up. come back. And what happens? The phone rings and they say they're on their way back. And she's like, oh, how much time do you need? They're like, oh, we'll be back in like 10 minutes. We'll be there in maybe like 10 minutes. So everybody's like scrambling to go and hide and clean up because the house is fucking trashed from them drinking and having a good old time. the they feed the kids everything, and while everybody's about to get caught, almost get caught, one of the dogs there is like underneath the table or under the daughter's bed, like all happy, tail wagging because the son's under there, and he's like, oh hey, being a cute little dog. And he almost gets busted because the daughter's like, what are you doing under there? And the mom comes out, or the mom shows up and asks her something, and they leave the room, and he starts to sneak out. Dad, after the mom, after they all eat and they're about to go to bed, the dad comes out, and they're all like starting to meet up to try and get out of the house before they get discovered. And right when they're about to leave, the son comes downstairs. So the dad and the daughter hide back under the table. Where did the son go? I think the son, he went back upstairs. And the mom, she was fine because she's supposed to be there. And the son comes downstairs, and he's like, he wants to sleep outside in the backyard. He wants to camp outside in the backyard since he didn't get to camp for his birthday at where they went. So the mom and dad are like, okay, we'll come downstairs and watch you. So while they all go outside to help set up the tent for the son so he could sleep out there, they're like freaking out, like, shit, how the fuck are we gonna get out of here? We're trapped. So the dad and the daughter are under the table, and the wife from the Parks are on the couch watching their son from this like beautiful glass windows they have for their house. I'll insert a picture if I can find one because the house is gorgeous. And while they're sitting there, they're like talking about the dad, and he's like, haven't you noticed that smell that he has? He's like, he's a great guy. He's like, he doesn't cross the line, like to the point where you're like inappropriate or I don't want you working for me. He tiptoes on the line, but he never crosses it. He's a great guy, but it's just he smells so funny. And the mom's like, "What do you mean?" He's like old radishes. Have you not smelt it? And she's like, "No, I haven't noticed." He's like, he doesn't cross the line, or he doesn't cross the line. He's not a bad employee, but that smell, he's like, that smell is crossing the line, like to the fact like he might be getting fired, is what it makes it sound like. And it's sad because the dad was just talking about how he thinks the family's so nice, and even though they're rich, they are still nice people. And after hearing that, you could see him like he's like embarrassed hearing him say that about him, because he thought that they were actually becoming somewhat friendly, on friendlier terms with each other. And the family, like, everybody falls asleep, and they finally get up and they all escape. And when they get back to their apartment, they realize that their whole neighborhood, from all the rain, is flooded. So they hurry up and try and get as much of their things as they can. And the son, he gets his scholar rock. That's like the one thing that he saves. And like the water is high. Like the dad is like almost drowning, and they get out of it, they with whatever, basically the clothes on their back, because their house was like waist water deep by the time they got there. And they lived on the basement, so the water was just pouring in to their apartment. So they end up spending the night at basically like YMCA area. And the dad and the son are talking, and the son's like, "Dad, do you have a plan? Like, what are we gonna do?" And the dad's like, he's like, "I don't," he's like, "No, I don't really have a plan. Plans are just a setup for you to be disappointed when things don't go right." And his son's like, "Are you sure, Dad?" And then he's like, all of a sudden, he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, I don't have a plan." He's like, "I don't know what we're gonna do." And then the next day, the Parks are having a party for their son for his birthday, and they're inviting everybody over because it's like last minute, since they weren't supposed to be there anyway. And they the mom takes the dad, the driver, the chauffeur, she takes him out to get the supplies and food for the party. And while they're in the car on the way back, she notices what her husband's talking about. And she's like, "Ugh, ugh," like this in the back seat, and rolls down the window. And the dad, you could feel him like he's getting like that feeling when you're like embarrassed. And I think that's like when the resentment started to build up, because he held them to a higher esteem than what he thought. And then the dad comes and talks to him again. Uh, looks down at, he goes to talk to the dad, and he's like, "Hey, my wife thought up this scenario that we can do of cowboys and Indians," because the son's like obsessed with being an Indian. And he's like, "We can do this where me and you are the bad guy, and the art therapist, the daughter, Ki Jung, is coming out with the cake, and we attack her, and then the son saves her. And while the daughter is coming out with the cake, guess who escaped from the fucking bunker? The husband. Not the wife, because, sorry, she died. He gets out of the bunker. there we go. The parasites destroyed its host. Everybody like runs. Everybody's like running out of the party. The daughter is running out after finding the son in the finding Mr. Kim's son in the kitchen, like laid out. And she's like running with him like on her back, and everybody's like running for safety. And after that's over, you're like, damn, is this, that's not how it ends either, because um it goes to a black screen and then it opens to the son, Kiwoo, sitting in the hospital bed, and he's just laughing. Have You're under arrest for all these charges. And he's just sitting there laughing, and the police are like, is this normal? And the doctor's like, yeah, sometimes when people get off having brain surgery, that's like one of the wires gets crossed and they keep laughing and they can't help it. And they're like, okay. So he gets he's stabbed, or he recovers from his brain injury, and surprisingly the dad escaped. He ran past where the cameras were and ended up going down into the bunker himself, and he stayed at that house that whole time. He thought he wouldn't have to worry about anybody moving in, but they did. The And then he would sneak out to like get food from them because they were always out anyway. He buried the previous housekeeper in the backyard because she died, and they got tailed for a long time by the police, the Kim family, because, well, the dad, the mom, and the son, because their sister, she ended up dying. And after they finally stopped tailing them, the son went hiking where he could see the house, and he could see the lights flickering, and he's like, huh, is this the SOS? His dad was sending him a message. He wrote down the whole message, read it, and this is where he was like, he learned from his dad to have a plan, and he's like, my plan, I'm gonna save up some money, I'm gonna become rich enough to buy this property, and then you can come out and we can be a family again. So I really enjoyed the movie. It was good. I like the underlying message of um, like classism, and how the Kims like really looked up to this family, thinking that they were so great and everything, when even though they didn't straight out tell you to your face they thought you were better than you, they thought they were better than you, and they thought they were just helping you out. And um the fact that I like the twist that they didn't know, nobody knew that the old housekeeper, was hiding her husband down in the frickin' cellar in the bunker of the house. And I gotta say, I didn't feel bad for the Kim family. Like, I felt bad for them, but I didn't think, I felt bad for them when I found out the daughter died. But they were like scammers. It was sad to see that they thought this was going to be, it probably could have been, it probably would have worked out fine if they didn't know about the other housekeeper hiding her husband down in the cellar, but that's not how it worked out. I liked the um like the cinematography. It's beautiful, like in most Korean shows or movies. The lightings, the settings, like the house that the Parks lived in, like I said before, it was gorgeous. It's like more my style as far as like architecture. Like, it's modern. and it's like lots of windows and stuff like that. And the Kim's family, you really got a sense of how desperate they were to even try and pull something like this off. Um, and it's sad because for a slight second they got to enjoy wealth, and then everything crumbled. If you haven't seen Parasite, I highly recommend it. Yes, it does have subtitles. So if you don't like movies like that, I don't know what to tell you. And if you are on the fence, I would say check it out. You'll enjoy it. I wanted to say that I didn't like, I felt bad for the Kim family, but I didn't feel that bad for them because even though they were in a bad situation, all the people that they stepped on for them to get to the positions they got in for the Parks family, they screwed over other people who probably were, if just as bad, if not worse than they were, um, to get in the to try and get the positions that they got. And that part I didn't agree with. Like, I felt bad for them to an extent, but then when it comes to that, and the daughter says something about it in the movie too. She's like, well, what about the chauffeur? How's he doing? Or what about the housekeeper? Damn. It's like crabs in a barrel, basically. They were trying to get themselves better, but they dragged other people down to do it. And that's why I felt bad for them to an extent, but I didn't feel that bad for them. But when you think about it, that's how people run businesses too. Like, they'll step on people to get to whatever position they think they deserve and stuff like that. Well, that seems like that's how a lot of people play it when they um, try to move up in the world. And thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later. Peace. Bye.